Today we're looking at creating patterns for the SR18 drum machine. What is called a pattern on the Alesis SR18 is a little more complex than what is referred to as a pattern on the FA06 workstation. An Alesis SR18 pattern is actually 3 layers: a drumming layer, a bass layer, and a percussion layer, and it's actually 2 fill patterns, an A and B fill as well. So it's actually quite a few patterns in one. If you want to erase the whole thing, then you have to go to user memory and erase the specific pattern number. You can edit a preset pattern and store it in user memory. Pattern 79 in the user memory contains a drum machine pattern that I put in personally from the RX11 series, as I copied patterns from the RX11 into my Alesis. And if I go up to 80, you see that it says empty pattern. So that's a truly empty pattern with a default length and no information in any of the layers. As you can see there in the bottom left hand corner of the display, the quantization is set to 16th note or semiquaver, and therefore when we step through the pattern at that quantization setting, each time we press the page up or page down button, we are traveling by 24 sub beats. What confuses the hell out of people is that if the pattern was recorded in real time, so that no quantization was really being used, then the actual drum beat or cymbal or whatever will be in between your quantization setting, so the information will not even show when you are in the pattern edit mode. Perhaps the easiest way to demonstrate this is to enter into that empty pattern another pattern from the RX11. We're going to create this basic 16 beat pattern and put it into memory 80. The first thing we would do is go into record setup, and we need the pattern length of 2, which is 2 bars. It's already set to 2 bars because we're doing 2 bars of our 16 beat pattern. So when we come down now, the note value would be 4, the beat would be 4, which means we have 4/4, basically 4 beats of quarter notes. That's what we have there, so that's the time signature. And gate time would be 80%, just like how it was in all other pattern sequencers. And the quantize now is what we would be interested in changing, or would we be interested in changing it. It's set to 16 notes right now. That should be able to be dealing with our hi-hats, so we should be able to leave it there. And so our record setup is quite fine. So we just press the record setup button again, and then we press the step edit. So now we have 0, 0, 1, which is the first beat, and we have those other 2 digits on the other side of the divide. Those are just the sub beats. Okay, on this first beat of the bar, we have the kick drum and an accented hi-hat. So we just press the kick, and you see it there. The pads go by numbers, and we press the hi-hat, and we have it there. Now we will want to get the accent. Okay, the number 1 on the right side tells us that it's pad 1 that's been struck in this particular screen, and that's the kick. So to raise the volume, we can use the increment and decrement keys. So let's raise the volume there, and to test it we can use the page up and down keys. Alright, so that should be loud enough at 6. Now we need to accent the hi-hat, so we need to raise that volume too. So we'll use, say, 7. So now when we... Alright, so we got the two of them pretty good there, the right volume. So now we move to the next step. So we just press the page up button, which carries us to the next step. Because we have it set for a 16, a quantization on 16th note, so we will just want to put in the hi-hat here. So we simply hit the hi-hat. And we can leave the volume at 3 for the unaccented hi-hats. Until we reach beat 2. Now on beat 2 we want to get not only the hi-hat but the snare drum, and the hi-hat has to be accented. Suppose we press the wrong drum. Well, we simply hold down the erase button here, hold down the erase button and press the record button, which acts like an enter button with another finger. So now we can press the proper snare that has a better sound. So on beat 2 we want to press the snare and the hi-hat, and then adjust the relative volume of the two of them. So we hit the snare and then we raise its volume by using the increment to 5. And we also then have an accented hi-hat. So we hit the hi-hat and we raise its volume to 7. Okay, we made a mistake. We don't want the snare here on 3. We want the snare on 2 and 4. So what we do is we go back to the snare, we hold the erase button, and we press the record button with the other finger, and bam, the snare is gone. On that beat now we only have, on that beat we have the bass and the accented hi-hat only. So we continue to add closed hi-hats, and we advance the thing. We got closed hi-hats. There we go, another one. Until we reach beat 4. Now beat 4 is where we have the snare and the accented hi-hat. So we hit the snare and we raise its volume to 5, and we hit the hi-hat and we raise its volume to 7. So we have an accented hi-hat, and we keep going. And the last snare, and we're finished. Back to the beginning of the pattern. So all that remains is for us to listen to it and save it. So we press stop to stop recording and return to the play mode. And then we press play to listen to it. And now we're going to save it. Ta-da! Now before saving our pattern, we're going to want to rename it. Instead of user 80, we're going to want to call it RX11. So let's show you how to name it. First we press the record setup button. Then we press the page button till we find the name. We could have done this earlier too. Once we see the name there, the cursor is under the U. So we can turn that, or we should be able to turn that. Why isn't it working? Oh yes, it is working. So we turn that to R. Then we press that to change it to the next one. And we move that to X. Then we go to the next one and we can go 11. When we're doing the numbers, we don't need to rotate the dial. We can actually just press these number buttons. So we just put in 0, 3 is it, or 2? 2. RX1102. That's the pattern that we just put in. That was the pattern number 2 that came as standard on the RX11 drum machine, which is a classic drum machine from the 80s. Now what we want to do now is we want to save it, so we have to press the record setup button again to exit the record setup, and we have to hold down the save copy button, save copy, and press enter. The record button serves as an enter, but we have to hold it down until we release it. So that is, we press save copy and hold it. We press enter while holding save copy. Save done, we release it, and there it's saved. Saved for posterity in the wonderful flash memory of the Alesis SR18. And if you really want to have it on other storage, you can use the bulk MIDI dump to save the entire lot of them onto a file on your hard drive with your DAW. But that'll be another video. We're going to teach you everything you need to know about all your equipment so you can make maximum use of it. Thanks for watching the Stephen Mendes channel, and we'll see you in the next video.